Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Tough Customs Garage YouTube channel. Today, we're going to try to build some 5-inch exhaust for the truck we call Dixie Girl. We're going to build it on the cheap. I found a bunch of elbows and different parts and pieces in a scrap metal bin. And then I have some old pieces of stack that we're going to use for all the straight pieces. So let's see if we can build it for little to nothing. Give the truck an upgrade. I don't know what in the world exhaust that's on it, but it's not great. So this is the exhaust that the truck came with. Well, came with when I got it. Somebody took the muffler out of it in this section at some point. But it's always driven me crazy because where it exited back past the rear passenger tire, this was not a 90. So it was like an acute angle. So it looked like the exhaust is like pointing towards the front of the truck. Kind of always drove me nuts. But we're going to try to give this truck a little love. It's one we picked up on the cheap and put a different transmission in it. It's a good truck, but this is some of the stuff that was in a scrap metal bin at one of the customers we do work for. So pretty nice stuff. Actually, stainless. This is just like some galvanized stuff that we'll be able to weld up and make work. So here's the pieces that we're going to use for the new section. I had this little downpipe left over from another truck that we were working on, and that factory 2nd gen downpipe didn't work. So we already got that part taken care of. That's 4-inch, and then we'll go to 5-inch here for the rest of it. A stack that I've been keeping for a long time. Who knows if I'd ever use it on anything. So instead of buying stuff, I'm just going to use this. I got that air box out of the way. See, the silencer ring is still in this turbo. Nobody's really messed with this thing much. So when we put that different transmission in, I already had an NV4500 out of another truck, and the synchros were bad in this one when we got it. So we actually put the clutch that I had on hand back in it, and it's been fine. I don't think it's turned up or anything. No different governor springs or anything in this truck. So it's pretty weak, but very, very trusty old ride. So the old downpipe is still on it. Hopefully we're going to be able to get a long extension. Zip those 2 mounting bolts off of there. Kind of got a little carried away cutting the old one out here. You know, nothing like making more work for yourself. Now I got to weld up the bottom of the cab. I'm hoping I can tuck it up really tight. Sun's messing up the view there. Hopefully I can tuck it up really tight against this gooseneck hitch to make sure we have enough clearance when the axle travels up whenever it's loaded. So I'm just going to basically wire my over the axle piece that I'll make up, and I'll put a shim in there of about a 1/2 inch probably, just to give some clearance. That way I'll hold it fast until I'm ready, and then I'll take the shims out of the way and have some clearance. So we'll see. Nice. The first win. Let's see how this factory downpipe compares to the upgraded version. See if it's any bigger, hopefully. Oh yeah. If I can't have a Peterbilt that's a real truck, then I might as well make my regular baby truck sound like one. Get out my old trusty anti-seize. As you can see, I've had this one around for quite a while. Put a little bit on these flange bolts. Looks like the bottom of the flange is damaged a little bit. Got to straighten that out where it'll fit up. My bolts seem like they were too short there. So hopefully that's what it is. I got it straightened out. Looks like this downpipe probably came with some longer bolts, which I don't have. So let's go see what I can find. So went on a hunt for a longer bolt. I have another right there. Second gen truck down there. And I know we put 5-inch exhaust on it. So I went and checked the bolt length on it, because I remember that kit coming with some new bolts. It's got the stock length bolts on it, so I know we didn't use it on that. That truck's kind of a sad story. I've had it for probably 10 years, but it's an 02. We swapped a P-pump on it, redid all the brakes, put big exhaust on it, 6-speed, 4-wheel drive, just absolute, unicorn as far as second gen people go. And it needs crossover tubes, we think, because it warms up a little and it develops a mist. And we parked it there 2 years ago, hadn't touched it. So great truck. It needs a clutch really bad. So we put a 1P pump on it that was pretty hot, and as soon as you hit the throttle, it will slip in the clutch. So we actually swapped the P pump for another pump because we thought maybe the mist was coming from the pump, but turns out it wasn't. And so that pump misses too, but the motor still misses, but the pump itself is like a 165 horse, so absolutely just the most anemic pump you can have. So one day maybe we'll pull that out. But also this week I picked up this door last Friday, and this has just been open, so there's been nothing from right there over to that corner. So I framed all this up this week, and Corey and I installed the door, got all the rest of the sheet metal done over the top. Looks a lot better for a shop that we really spent very, very little money on. Turned out pretty good. My concrete's a little unlevel down there. I got some fall from one side of that door to the other, but the seal still keeps it pretty airtight down there. So we're trying to make it where, this is the metalworking side of my shop, and we're trying to make it where we can have heat this winter and actually keep it in, because this has all just been wide open. And then I installed those doors on the back side of the shop as well, 2 more 12-foot doors. But in here, I have a bunch of file cabinets. And I have been trying to label stuff and actually put stuff up. So it's got tons and tons of storage space. So I have a drawer here, Cummins turbo, Cummins manifold, Cummins injection pump, Cummins brackets. Let's see what we got in the Cummins. Oh yeah, I think we're in luck. That looks like our bolts right there. How, I don't know. But that's the back of the turbo. And it's a longer bolt. So I bet that'll work. Every now and then, I'll do something that makes sense, that helps me out in the future. So that's a win. What take is this? Take 3, 4? I don't know. Now I want to see about how much length I have from right there over to where I need to make my piece go up and over the axle. See if that one stack is long enough to just make it in one piece. I think it is. I really wish I had some V-bands where I could make this a little easier to remove. Like about 80 inches maybe. So what I'm considering trying to do is the top of the stack is going to go towards the front of the truck. So that'll be where the downpipe will tie in right there. And then this end of the pipe is actually, it's swollen to accept a pipe internally. And then it would have like a semi-truck style clamp, like a big flat clamp that would go around that. So I may try to use that and make it where the portion over the axle is removable. And that way it would be possible to remove this to get it out of the way to do some work or whatever you may need to do. But what I wish I had was a V-band here at the downpipe, and then this whole back section would kind of come out of the way a little easier. But I'm basically spending no money. So whatever wires on the welding machine, shielding gas in the welding machine, that's what we're using. We'll make it happen. Might make a nice tip whenever we finish it out somehow. You know, have a little chrome at the end of the deal there. So we didn't have 80 inches. I don't know what we actually ended up with here. Definitely not 80 inches, so we'll have to use some other pieces to make it all long enough. We ended up at 71 inches, so just under 6 feet. It's going to look like somebody had a bunch of money when they were building this exhaust. Chrome all under the truck. Ain't be able to tell me nothing. So a great tool for doing exhaust work, especially on the lift, is this screw jack. I mean, we use that thing for pulling motors and transmissions and holding stuff while you get a transmission jack in the way or whatever. Definitely a nice tool. But it's adjustable, so you can get your pipe good and level. Couple of 45s. I don't know what's going to work best. So that's the slip fit that I was talking about. I think we're going to carry this 45 up a little bit, and I'll take one of those 90s and cut it off to make it go back the direction I want it to go. All right, so since we're up and over the axle, you can see this piece is stopping like right there. Need to come down a little and then out towards that corner. I've found that if you can get your exhaust all the way out the very back corner of the truck, it's about as quiet as it can get inside the cab. But if you end it anywhere under the body, it's going to drone like crazy. Probably going to pull the welding machine over here. Kind of have to tack this thing up where it's sitting. Trying to figure out if I want to use a 90, chop it up, or use one of the 45s and then use a little piece of a elbow to get it where see there's a little swell in the frame rail right there. So what I'm trying to do is bring that big pipe back through that same spot. But you need to be in the correct spot over this way as well. So when the axle travels up and we have a bunch of junk on a trailer, it won't hit the exhaust. All right, so this is what I got. Basically cut one of those 90s apart. And then what I'll do is flip it to make it where it's going to finish out the over the axle portion. And then I'll angle this to point at that back corner of the truck. Really need another one of those screw jacks. Do what I need to do. But we don't have one of those. And what we do have is endless amounts of tie wire. So let's just use that. I'd say I'm pretty happy with that. Up and over the axle. This was junk out of the scrap metal bin. Try to get it all tacked up, and that way you don't put too much weld on something. I'm trying to make it where this is close to horizontal or level. I really want it angling back just in case any water ever tried to sit in that pipe. Kind of want to have a little bit of fall on it. Never know, we might need to ford a creek or something like that, you know. Yeah, I don't know if I like that or not. I'll use this turn down. I may use it and cut it across like that so it's not turned down at the ground so much. I got another truck that's turned all the way down at the ground, and man, that thing is super loud. Just bring it straight a little bit further and then stop it just shy of the edge of the body there. I was trying to clean up the other day, and I was going to throw these 2 stacks away. My buddy Corey wouldn't let me. So, I guess I'm glad we didn't, because I got some really long lengths of pipe right there that I can use. I don't know if I have any more. I go look one more place before I cut those up, because I only need one little piece. So I have a whole exhaust section up here. Let's see what we can find. This ladder's kind of sketchy, but it folds up. It's pretty cool. Look like we're lacking on the 5-inch up here. I'll throw a bunch of intercooler pipe up here, and also exhaust pipe, but no 5-inch. Do have this big giant 5 to like 8-inch tip. I think we'll save that for later though. All right, I brought our exhaust tip over here to the sink. No water back at the shop. It's too far away from the road. So I don't know when in the world I'll get to that, but let's see if we can make it look better. Got one of the little SOS, like Brillo pads. Looks better. I'll take it. Now we just got to figure out how we want it. Want it back, I think straight. Should be pretty good. Straight on out the side. I'll tilt it back up just a little bit before I fasten all my hangers. Pretty nice. Say for a virtually free, cut this little weld machine off. Side note, we call this the exhaust welder or the bathroom welder. Basically, it's so small you could just carry it up in the bathroom with you, do a little welding in a small confined space. But man, this thing is perfect. It's got 023 just carbon wire on it, solid wire that is, with a 75-25 gas. So you can just weld a bead on sheet metal instead of doing a bunch of tack welds. But yeah, I think this is going to work nice. I don't know if I have a band clamp for this. Basically that band clamp just goes over it and then you tighten it up and it holds it. It's the same thing that semi trucks use. And then I've got to reduce this up here because this is 4-inch going to 5-inch. So the downpipe's 4-inch and we're going to that 5-inch. So I'm not sure if I'm going to hold out and maybe put a V-band right there, or if I'm just going to have this in 2-piece instead of 3-piece. I just like to try to make stuff where you can service it. So if the exhaust is in the way, take it apart and get it out of your way. But that would mean we would have $49 in this if we put V-bands, because I'd have to buy some. I looked at them this morning and that's about what they ran. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. So this is one of those band style clamps. So you can see the flared portion goes on the swell side of the pipe. And then this side is just 5-inch. It's what's used on all semi trucks pretty much. All right, I'm going to take all my wire loose, take this thing over to the bench and weld it up. All right, so this is what we came up with. Looks pretty good. I think it'll work. So we just need to weld this thing up. And we got an exhaust. We got hangers to make and all that stuff still, but definitely closer than we were. You can see welding thin stuff with that little welding machine. There's nothing to it. I've never had a machine before I got that one that you could actually run beads on exhaust. So you can weld some stuff up pretty quick with that. And it looks pretty decent. Let's go see if it fits. So I'm basically making a reducer by just slicing the 5-inch and then pinching the edges together to make it go to 4-inch or pretty close. It's not going to be perfect, but it is definitely a weldable joint. It'll be slightly tighter, but I'm going to work these little spots with the hammer and dolly to get them looking a little better. pretty good. I can work with that. That's probably the worst one, actually. It was just an absolute guess on the little slices that I took out. So I guess I got it decently close. Let's weld it up. Gotta get that tip up just a little bit. Besides that, it's pretty close. Tucks in there with a little room on the spare tire. I got that right at the frame rail. I might tighten it up to the frame just slightly before I make the hangers for it. And all this works pretty good. I think I may just make it where I'm gonna weld this today, but then I can make it where I could put a 4-inch V-band right there. So the next time I take it off, I could cut it right there, put V-bands back on it, and then it would be more serviceable, which is how I like it. And then I'll put that clamp right there on that joint. So all of my over the axle portion goes inside of the long straight portion. Can't wait to see what this thing sounds like. I must admit, I was trying to get this done before lunchtime, but it's lunchtime. I guess I've made some pretty good progress on it, but that's normally the way my timeline goes. I'll have a plan and it's going to take 2 hours and it takes 10. So hopefully after we get something to eat, we can get this thing finished up, get the hangers on it, fire it up, see what it sounds like. Go get something to eat. All right, finished product. No more tie wire. I actually just reused that one hanger. Kind of worked right out. Now, for the payoff, we got to see how it sounds. So I have to admit, it doesn't sound much different. I can't really tell any difference from inside anyway. So maybe on the video it'll sound cool. 3-inch versus 5-inch, maybe you're really not getting much there, but they say that if you're going to do some stuff to a truck, you need to get bigger exhaust and get all the heat out. So we may do governor springs and turn the fuel up a little bit on this thing eventually. But I am going to include a video right here of all the rain that we got this week. It's been really, really unprecedented in terms of average rainfall for August. So we got 10 inches in about 7 days, and my pond went around the emergency spillway. It was absolutely terrifying. It survived, but we probably lost, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 10,000 fish. They were just all behind the dam, and it was lots of small fish, so lots of like hatchling bluegill. But check out the clip, and we'll see you next time, or we'll be working on something else. Thanks for watching.